Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brianna and this is For Pause in a Book. I make book and lifestyle related content, so if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that are on my Kindle Unlimited list. If you don't know what Kindle Unlimited is, it's basically a subscription service that you can add to your Amazon Prime account, and it basically allows you to check out books like a library that are on this Kindle Unlimited list. It's not every book in existence, but there's a lot of indie books on there, which is really cool. Authors get paid per page flip. That's how the authors are getting paid for having their books on there. So it's a really great opportunity for indie authors to kind of get discovered, and there's a huge selection on there. I believe my account has 20 slots. I don't even know that I have all 20 filled up, but today I want to talk about some books that I have checked out, or books that I have essentially borrowed that I want to read that are on my TBR. There's nothing specific about this. There's not oh, I want to read these before X date. These are just ones that have piqued my interest. I get a lot of recommendations from TikTok, a lot of recommendations from some romance readers, because there are a ton of romances, both contemporary romances and also dark, twisted romances, and I have the wide range of this. So let's just get started. I have 11 books I want to talk about today, and maybe this will inspire you to go check out Kindle Unlimited. It's $9.99 a month, so it's really not a bad deal. You get some really great exposure to some books that you wouldn't necessarily see before. There's also a lot of classics on there, and yeah, so let's just get started. The first one I have is Scarred by Emily McIntyre. This is the second book in this series. She basically takes these Disney tales and twists them into a dark romance. So they're not a retelling, it's a reimagining. Her first book that I did read was Hooked. That was a Peter Pan reimagining, and I really liked this, and I really liked the writing style. So I definitely want to try more of hers. She actually just announced the fourth book in this series, which I think is an Aladdin reimagining, and then there's another one, but I can't remember what it is. Anyways, they're all on Kindle Unlimited, so I can kind of binge through it. But anyways, Scarred is a reimagining of Lion King, which sounds weird when you think about it in one hand, but on the other hand, Lion King is just a reimagining of Hamlet, so I guess it's not that weird. So, Hamlet reimagining, I guess. Anyways, I'm really excited about this one. With Hooked, she put in a lot of these little Easter eggs about the story of Peter Pan, and so as a fan of Peter Pan, I really enjoyed that, so I'm excited to see how she does that with Lion King as well. Speaking of Peter Pan, let's just move right into the next one, which is Never King by Nikki St. Croix. This was recommended to me by Rye over at Rye's Reading Corner, and I will have everyone linked down below. And this is a dark romance inspired by Peter Pan as well, and essentially on girls' 18th birthdays, they are kidnapped by the Lost Boys, and I guess Hook is the hero of the story. I don't know. This seems great. I love Peter Pan retellings. I'm not a fan of the actual original story, but it's such an interesting concept, and it's so interesting how people will pull different parts of the story in order to make a retelling. I'm all for that, so I'm excited about this one. The next one I have on my list is a completely opposite, and that is The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. This is the July group book for the Late Night Crew, which is hosted by Rye, Mel from Eleanor Reads, and Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. Again, everyone is linked down below. So this is the July book for their, it's an unofficial book club, and I was kind of hoping that maybe I could pick this up for Summerween. This is about a girl, and when she was 11 years old, she would be upstairs not realizing that her dad was downstairs killing people. He was a serial killer, and then time jump to several years later, and she is an adult. She's a successful surgeon, but then one of her patients ends up getting murdered the same way that her father would murder people, and so the crime is pinned on her. So seems quite interesting. Seems really dark. It's supposed to be like a very psychological thriller, which are some of my favorites. So very excited about this one. The next one I have is A Deal with the Devil by Elizabeth O'Rourke. This was recommended by Chandler over at Chandler Ainsley, and this is giving me Lucifer vibes, right? Without the actual devil part. This is an enemies to lovers workplace romance where I think she ends up like in a thing with her boss. I'm not really sure. But I mean, the cover is giving me Lucifer vibes. It's talking about how like he is a playboy. He is the British badass running around Hollywood as a playboy, which like just screams season 1 Lucifer, right? So just without the actual being the devil thing. I feel like this is going to be a Tom Ellis fanfic. But I'm here for that. I'm here for that. All right, moving completely away from the romance. And we have Circus of Shadows by Kimberly Turley. This is actually interesting because this is a local Salt Lake author, and so I wanted to support that. And this is giving me Night Circus feels. I don't think it's quite on the Night Circus level, so I will go in with lower expectations than that. But this is like a haunted circus where a girl sneaks onto a magical circus train. She thinks that she's going to get arrested when she gets caught on the train, but instead she is given a job as an assistant at the circus. And then she kind of figures out that not all is as it seems. Things are a little bit creepy, and we think that the circus might be haunted. We don't know. So this one seems really magical, and I'm excited for it. Okay, then we have A Sacrifice by Katie Robert. This is one of her backlist books. This is a vampire poly romance. It's actually like the bind up of this and the rest of the series is actually going to become Court of the Vampire Queen, I think is what it's called, which is the new one that's coming out like in print later on this year. But I did find them like in their individual parts. This seems great. It's poly, it's vampires, it's romance, it's Katie Robert. It's gonna be great. I know that Katie Robert is not like the favorite romance author on BookTube, but I really enjoy her writing, and I have a good time with it. So I would like to read some of her older stuff and see how I get in with that. The next one I have on here is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. And this is a historical sapphic romance. This one was getting a ton of buzz a couple of years ago, and I just never got around to reading it. I know that Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany has read it and talked about it. I'm pretty sure she really liked it. Chelsea from Chelsea Dahlia Reads, who's not on BookTube anymore, she really liked it. So yeah, this one has piqued my interest. I'm not a huge fan of historical romances, but this seems like it would be up my alley. There's actually like kind of like STEM women, which you don't see in historical romances. So I appreciate that. And we'll see what happens. Maybe for like a sapphic-a-thon, because I don't think it's a super long read. So we'll see. Okay, then I have a couple of TikTok recommendations. TikTok is great at trying to find Kindle Unlimited, especially when you go into like the really steamy dark romance genre. So we have Her Villains by Jade Presley. First off, this cover, can we have a moment for it? It's beautiful. This is a reverse harem fantasy-inspired romance where she is offered to the princes as a bride to usher in peace. And there are 4 of them, and she enjoys all of them. So do with that what you will. Then we have Nemesis by Liza Penn and Natasha Lux. When I saw this book on TikTok, the dedication page was the first thing that popped up, and it said something like, to Marvel fans who want a little more spice. And so like that immediately like piqued my interest. And this is an organized crime paranormal romance with supervillains and heroes. From what I'm reading from the synopsis, this kind of feels like it's gonna be kind of like The Boys, like the show on Amazon Prime, but hopefully with less blowing off of heads and unnecessary gore and more romance. That's what I'm hoping for, honestly. Next up, we have Blind Landing by Carrie Aarons. I don't remember where I found this one or who recommended it to me, but it's on my list somehow, and I don't know. But this is a gymnastics romance about an elite gymnast who is an adult. Like, she is 18. And then she has an injury, and the bad boy, reckless coach is the only one that will like help her get through it. And then there's obviously going to be like some sort of hate to love romance. I'm here for that. If you don't know, I used to be a gymnast, and so any type of like gymnastics style romances or gymnastics style books, it's usually a buzzword for me. And then lastly, we have The Confidence of Wildflowers by Michaela Smeltzer. And this is an age gap romance, very similar to, like, say, Penelope Douglas. This was recommended by Madison over at Princess of Paperback. And first off, again, the cover, stunning. This is one that if I do like it, I'll probably buy in paperback or like physically, because this cover is just everything. This book has an 18-year-old girl and a 31-year-old guy that moves in next to her. He's a grumpy landscaper, and obviously there's going to be a romance that ensues. I don't read a ton of age gap romances, but the ones that I have, I've really enjoyed. So I'm hoping that I'll like this one. Like I said, Madison really loved it, and I remember seeing it on her Instagram, and so I immediately was like, oh, click. Add to my shelf. So yes, this is definitely one that I want to get to sooner rather than later. That is all of the books that I have to recommend to you today. Let me know down in the comments below if you use Kindle Unlimited, and if you do, recommend me a book down there. And if you're not feeling chatty, you can do some sort of flower emoji, because The Confidence of Wildflowers has a bunch of flowers on the cover. That's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, there's a little red button that you can do so down below the video, and all of the other links to my social media will be in the description below if you would like to be my friend on any other platform. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.